So let's get to it. I make frequent inputs. Excuse me? I make frequent inputs into the APCUG website on Windows Tech Tips and Apple Tech Tips. And that's what my presentation today is going to cover. There are thousands of resources out there, and the ones that I'm going to cover today will not be thousands of them, but the ones that I use most frequently. And I try to check out most of the inputs that I make to the APCUG website on my own equipment. So I make sure that they work. But the fact of the matter is I don't have any Android devices, so when you see something up there under Windows Tech Tips for Android devices, it's without me checking it out. Some of the websites I'm going to talk about today ask for your support, and I will mention those as I go along. And I try to stay with current software in almost all cases. I don't like to cover tips and tricks or hints for software that has been superseded by another software update. A caution that I get every time I use one of these websites and look at their legal notices is that, gee, maybe we're telling you or recommending you do something and it may not work. And so therefore, you got to be careful. And basically, I try to take that into consideration. And it's one of the reasons why I check out as many of my tips, tricks, and hints as possible before I pass them on to the website. Take that into consideration. Don't do something if you're confused by it, and understand that if you do something to your computer, you do so at your own risk. What I don't include in my tech tips are the following things that you see on this view graph. The reason I don't do sales is because a lot of sales that you see on the internet that are announced by one of these websites or their newsletters are for that day only. And of course, getting into the malware and security problems that can occur with devices and on the internet is too robust for me to cover, and it's a constantly changing thing. I consider myself a reasonable user of digital equipment, but I don't go into the registry and make changes, so I don't suggest that other people do it through my tips and tricks and hints. I stay away from announcements about future. The future is nice to know about, but I like to explain that stuff when it's in fact current software and not what's going to happen in the future, because sometimes it doesn't happen. There are some websites that I use to come up with tips, hits, or tricks, and they are all about advertising certain products. I try to stay away from them. And of course, I don't have an Xbox. I don't play a whole lot of games myself. And troubleshooting and fixing problems, again, is too robust. So, what's my number one choice for a Windows Tech Tips or Apple Tech Tips? How to Geek. I love this site. Why? Because they're plain language. And they do it for you, and they do it with a lot of simple, plain terms. They cover a wide variety of subjects, as you can see. They cover Windows articles, they cover iOS articles, They have features, they have shortcuts, they have all sorts of things that you can get into. And so let's get into some of the How to Geek web pages. If you open up the How to Geek page, you'll see the navigation bar across the top that says Windows, Mac, iPhone, Android, smartphone, more. If you click on more, then you'll get this second line, which covers Linux, hardware, gaming, security, office, and photography. One of the things that you want to be careful about when using any resource for giving you information about what's going on with hardware or software is you want to check the date. What is the date of the article that you're reading? And if it's pretty old, then that dated article may not be what you want to get into. So you gotta be careful about that. I'm very careful about that. When I'm searching out resources, I try to stay current within the last couple months at least. I will show you examples later on where some of the resources are only a couple hours old. Again, this is the How to Geek website, and they do a very good job of I'm sorry. They have a newsletter. You can sign up for it. It comes out daily. And I use that. They have a follow How to Geek across the different social networks. There's always an interesting little paragraph about did you know, their daily tech terms, the best of How to Geek, their most popular articles that they put out in the recent week or so. And again, always check and make sure that you're dealing with an article that is right down there on not too long ago. Another display that I took right off my desktop computer, excuse me, my laptop computer. And this comes from my Outlook email, and this is what How to Geek newsletter looks like when you get it. I blued out right under there exactly what my email is that I get this on for my own privacy purposes. But as you can see, there's also a statement there that says if you don't see this thing the way you want to see it, you can click here and you can view it in your web browser. And that works just fine. It can take you directly to your web browser and you can view the article there. How to Geek. And of course, I always like to check out and see what exactly is going on. You know, who are the people behind this and what are they doing? So I ended up on the About page for How to Geek, and I like that term they use there right in the center. Putting technology into context for everyone, from regular people to geek technophiles. And I don't consider myself a geek technophile, so it's one of my favorite sites. Let's move on to my second most favorite site, which is Groovy Post. And Groovy Post is clutter-free. I like that. They have a lot of screenshots on how to. And if you're a supporter of Groovy Post, then you can have some additional features added to your subscription. And I am a supporter of Groovy Post. As you can see, they have a free daily newsletter and all sorts of different categories, quick tips, and of course they have Windows 10, Microsoft Office, services they recommend, etc. You can start a blog with Groovy Post, and they have good search capabilities. Here's a screenshot of the Groovy Post homepage, and up there in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the Groovy Post logo, round G in Post. Also, you can see in their navigation bar all the different categories that they cover, and we've come up on this screenshot on their how-to page. Latest articles, featured, news, etc., etc. Another shot of Groovy Post. And here I've gone over to how-to, and so I get the how-to articles. And the how-to articles, you can search for a specific article if you're looking for one, and that's really a neat thing to do if you're trying to figure out how to do a certain function on your device, no matter if it's a Windows device or an Apple device or an Android device. Groovy Post will probably cover it in how-tos, and their how-tos is limitless. And the way you would search out, I'll give you another screenshot, is you would go all the way over here to the right-hand side of their web page, and you would click on that little magnifying glass symbol. And when you click on that, you get a pop-down that says type search term and press enter. They have very good search capabilities in Groovy Post throughout the unlimited number of articles that they've run in the past. I use this quite often when I'm trying to figure out exactly how to present something on the APCUG website. I want to make sure that the steps are clear, concise, and they work. I like quick tips out of Groovy Post because they also give you a lot of information about what's going on in the quick, and they have steps and screenshots. These quick tips, of course, cover both Windows and Apple. Now, if you go back up to that hamburger, that's the 3 horizontal lines that was in the upper left-hand corner of the home screen. That's called a hamburger. And you click on that, you get this pop-down over here, which shows you the different things that you can go to and cut down your searching around on the website for any specific category. Windows 10, services we recommend, subscribe, search, etc. So I use this when I want to get to something without spending a lot of time to search. Very nice for Groovy Post to add that to their website. As I said a few minutes ago, I subscribe to Groovy Post on a monthly basis, and I receive ad-free versions of their website, and I also can take and make PDF downloads from any of the articles that I'm looking at Groovy Post. I find that very helpful. I can turn something into a PDF and then easily turn it into a PowerPoint presentation, which is what I'm using today, PowerPoint. So enough about Groovy Post. Let's move on. Windows Central. There's a couple things that I really like about Windows Central, and there's some things I don't like, but I'll tell you about the nice things. They have an app. It's very handy. You can have the app on your PC, or you can have the app on your mobile device. I'll show you that in a couple minutes. They do have an awful lot of information about Microsoft Windows 10, and they use YouTube channel. They have push notifications for new articles, and they're coming out with new stuff all the time. This whole Windows Central thing is run by an organization called Mobile Nations. And they say personal information we may collect through the site includes, without limitation, name, gender, birthday, city, phone number, payment card information, email address, yada, yada, yada. Mobile Nations does a lot of good for putting technology out on the internet in several different forms on several different websites, but they also collect information. So I just want you to be aware of that. I use Windows Central quite frequently when I'm dealing with Windows 10 information. Let's look at another page of Windows Central, and you can see in the upper left-hand corner, again, they have the hamburger thing, 3 horizontal lines. They do some pretty heavy advertising for Microsoft stuff in Windows Central. Their search capability is down there on the left-hand side in the middle of the page, and from there you go to whatever you're looking for. Now, if you click on the hamburger in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you get this drop down. And this is one that I use frequently. Again, it helps me get to where I want to go without spending a lot of time searching around. And I want you to notice that I have circled there in the center that they also do contests. Right here, contests. And yes, I've looked at their contests. I've never entered one, but they have given away stuff free quite regularly, and you may want to get into that. They also take tips. I have not entered any tips, but again, they will take tips from you and turn them into an article on their website. So if you have some news you want to tip them on, fine and dandy. This website also allows you to follow them on Twitter, Facebook, RSS, whatever. This Crocberry is really BlackBerry stuff. And cord cutters, of course, has to do with getting rid of the cable TV you got coming in, and Mr. Mobile about mobile devices. They have amazing prizes, so they say. So here you get Android Central contests, and of course the blue line under there means it's a link, and if you click on it, it'll open up the information about the contests for you. I know they exist. I have never entered a contest. I really have enough stuff. I don't need anything more, and that's what Joyce tells me frequently. So here's the Windows Central app. As you can see, I'm in the Windows Microsoft Store. I'm under the app section, and this Windows Central app is available. This is a screenshot of my laptop, and as you can see, it says free and get. I changed the Windows Central app long URL address, okay, into a bit.ly. So there it is for you in its shortened form. And the app is cool. I'm going to show you a little bit about it in a minute or so. It says Get, and it was available on PC, mobile, Holdens, and Hub. This is the Windows Central app for mobile devices. And notice it says this app does not work on your device. Okay? May require certain hardware. See system requirements. And then you go to the system requirements, and there and it says Windows 10 Mobile, Windows Phone 8.1, and Windows Phone 8. All right, now, seeing this thing I put up in the center here about this app does not work on your device clues you into the fact that even when you go to this web page in the App Store and you do it with a computer, they know you're on a computer, and that comes from your IP address. Okay, just want to mention that to everybody. So the apps for Windows Central between using it on your PC or on a mobile device can be different. And you can't really download the wrong one. This is what the Windows Central app would look like if you got it on an Android device. I really got a kick out of their write-up here. We don't necessarily like it, but we know that many of our loyal Windows Central readers have jumped the Windows Phone ship to another healthier platform. So that was kind of cute. And you can get it from the Google Play Store. This is the Windows Central app for iOS devices. And again, the iOS platform is hugely popular, and we want iPhone and iPad toters to have access to the Windows Central content. So we made a thing called WC Forums. Now, why they changed the name, I cannot guess, except maybe Apple said, if you want to have it there, you're going to have to call it something besides what you want to call it. So they changed the name and called it WC Forums. So the point is, the Windows Central app is available almost everywhere, and it's a neat app to deal with. They have a Windows Central newsletter that comes out every single day, and you can have it sent to your email. And this is where you would sign up on it, your name and then your email. If you were to scroll down, and of course that's the Windows Central /newsletter URL address bar. My next favorite Windows thing, and that would be Windows Club. They cover, and the reason I use this, Windows 7, 8, and 10. And the Windows Club is very useful in a lot of categories for things that you want to refresh your memory on or find out how it used to work. And of course, there's still a lot of people out there that are running Windows 7 and Windows 8. In fact, here in my neighborhood, I've run into some people recently who are still running Windows Vista. Okay, so I go here, I look at stuff that I'm interested in, I find out what's going on in this world, and I pretty much do not include Windows 7 and 8 tips in the APCUG website, but I will include Windows Club tips for Windows 10. They have a very strong statement. This site is not in any way affiliated with, nor has been authorized, sponsored, or otherwise approved by the Microsoft Corporation. I thought that was interesting. They don't hide it at all, and that's fine. The Windows Club has a vast array of different topics that you can deal with from their website. These are not all of them. These are the ones that I have used in the past on different occasions. Every once in a while, I got to take a pause and take a sip of my apple juice. Moving right along. The Windows Club website looks like this, and as you can see over here on the right upper side, just below their navigation bar, you see Google Custom Search, which searches their website. So if you're looking for something specific, and it's especially in the area of Windows 7 or 8, or 10. You can go right in there and be sure to mention which operating system you're asking about, 7, 8, or 10. What's interesting about this, and this homepage changes frequently, is that when you scroll down on this homepage, all the way down to the bottom, you can see, I'm going to show you that now, that they have 487 pages of these articles that the Windows Club has put up in the past. And you can go back, if you're looking for a specific article, you can go back page by page, or you can just meander through and check it out and see what happens in those different pages of articles. There's approximately 20 articles on each page. So if they got 487 times 20, that's quite a few articles that they have archived that you still have access to. I thought that was very interesting. If you go into reviews on the Windows Club, they do a real good job of, and this is where I use them frequently, of reviewing new software, hardware, and other devices that are available to the general public. The blog posts and new posts are available from this page also, but again, I usually go into reviews because somebody has asked me, hey Jerry, what do you think about this software? What do you think about this hardware? What's the best one of these things to use? So this is where I use the Windows Club. You got to take into consideration that these are some people who do this for a living, but they can't always be right, or they're not always 100%. So you take that and you take their inputs and you add a little common sense to them, and they usually work out right. I'm a big fan of PC World, PC Magazine. For years and years and years, starting way back in the mid-'80s, I was a PC World, PC Magazine subscriber. And I still use their websites, and I still listen to what they have to say. They have some talented people working for them. What's interesting to note here, though, is that PC World and PC Magazine have gone digital. And back in 2011, PC Magazine made an offer. We could buy 5 years of PC Magazine for a certain price, and that would take me out to 2017. And so I did that. And then a year or two later, they quit publishing the magazine and putting it in snail mail for you, and they went totally digital. And the biggest difference I've seen between PC World and PC Magazine and their digital editions is the fact that you have a whole lot less number of advertisements, a significant drop in the number of advertisements, and also a significant drop in their annual rate for getting it on the digital marketplace. So I've gone digital with both of them. I like them. They're good resources. I have an account with Zinio, Z-I-N-I-O, and that's where I get one of those magazines. But I also know that my local library here in Leesburg carries PC Magazine, and I can get it through Flipster, a program that libraries get involved in where you can read magazines from the library for free. So check that out. Apple Tech Tips. Tips.apple.com, English, US, iOS. Fantastic website if you're looking for tips. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, why I think it's fantastic. You can do them on iPhones, iPads, iPods, And the information, again, you got to make sure it's date sensitive, but Apple does a darn good job of putting out information about the current stuff. They don't archive a lot of stuff that deals with previous iOS operating systems unless you request it. When you go to the iOS website that I just showed, this is what their homepage looks like. And as you can see across the top on their navigation bar, they have all different categories that you can get into. They have a magnifying glass for the search, and they have a little bag there that says, this is what you bought, this is what you got in your bag. Sort of comparable to a shopping cart. When you go one more scale down, and I picked on iPhone tips here, and this is what the page will look like. And they show you different portions and categories of the iPhone and how many tips they have available to it. If you scroll down a little bit on this page, you will see more categories. Fantastic photos, iCloud New, HomePod. I'm not into Apple Music. I do have an Apple Watch. I do use Apple iCloud. And I'm always texting or messaging. So I get in here every once in a while to keep my memory fresh. At 76 years old, I suffer from CRS. CRS being I can't remember stuff. And so sometimes I have to go back and reteach myself. And if I use it every day, I usually don't forget it. Now, what's really interesting about going into the tips that they have with Apple is a vast majority of them are animated. And when I say animated, they may show up originally with this little, click here and play me, or they may just require you to swipe your mouse across the picture, and they'll explain the steps down below, right here. But then they'll go through the procedures of what it looks like as it changes on your iPhone, iPad, whatever, up here. So that's really kind of neat. Their animations are very well done. Good idea that they had. Support for Apple. You can always go down to the Apple Store. Trace and I went down a couple weeks ago, and it was crowded, and we had to wait in line for 25, 30 minutes. No big deal if that's what you got, but I prefer to use the internet, and then I can see what I'm doing, and I prefer to use chat because then I can see what I'm being told. When you get into support, you can search support. You can click on one of the devices across the bottom of the page. You can contact Apple support. Click on contact Apple support on the page you're on, and it'll take you to here. And then again, they try to further narrow down what you need support on: the Mac, the iPad, the iPhone, the watch, the TV, music, whatever. And if you keep on clicking down, you're going to get on to a page that looks like this. I was doing iPad, and it says, here's the categories of what's happening with your iPad. Updates, connectivity, system performance, or, gee, if you don't see a box down here that describes the issue you're having with your iPad, how about putting something in search topics? So you put something in search topic, and they work with you and try to help you out. And if all else fails, then what happens is you can get to this point right here. How would you like to get help? And notice it says the wait time for chat is 2 minutes, and the wait time for phone support is 2 minutes or less. Again, as I've said before, I like chat because I can also get a record of what they told me. And I find that there's a lot of young people out there that are willing to help you, but they talk fast. And when they talk fast, I can't listen fast. So I go with chat a lot of times. I've used this numerous times when I have issues with my Apple devices. I have 2 Apple iPhones, I have 2 Apple iPads, and an Apple Watch. Another place where I go for Apple stuff is called MacRumors.com. Very good. But they are heavy on Mac. Gee, I wonder that's why they call it Mac Rumors. And they do, in a lot of cases, cover iPhone, iPad, or iPod. And they have a mobile version of MacRumors.com that can go onto your Apple mobile device. I get one of their newsletters daily. I go through it. I select articles occasionally out of it, and they end up on the APCUG webpage. This is what Mac Rumors looks like on their homepage. Again, they're another organization that says if you got a tip, let us know about it. Upper right-hand corner is their search site. You can subscribe to their newsletter right here on the homepage, and the Mac Rumors is ad-free. They have a lot of subcategories off to the left or the right-hand side of the main notes, but they are normally ad-free. I like that. Mac Rumors, again, is not strictly Apple stuff. They do a little Android thing on a constant basis. They have a roundup section which I use, and this gets me down to the category that I want to deal with a lot quicker because it's that important thing for me. I don't want to sort through a whole bunch of stuff to try to find the answer that I'm looking for. I like to get down to business. So I use Roundup, and I'll pick on the specific categories here. Now you'll notice I have an iOS 12 category here, and I have not been paying attention to that at all because I'm still dealing with iOS 11. And when 12 comes out, then I'm going to be hard at work for a couple days getting myself updated to what 12 will actually do. Another ability or capability from Mac Rumors. Mac Rumors also has a buyer's guide. And when people will ask me, hey, Jerry, which one of these should I buy? I usually say I'll get back to you, and I go in here to their buyer's guide and read about which ones are the best. They may say don't buy an iPhone 8 because you're better off buying an 8 Plus, or don't buy an iPhone SE because it's going to be overtaken by events in another year, et cetera, et cetera. Good information about the buyer's guide. And as I mentioned a minute ago, you can see that Mac Rumors will also cover iOS 12. iOS 12 is not out yet. It should be out probably in the first 2 weeks of September, unless Apple decides that they want to hold off for a while. Now, up here in the corner of right-hand top, right under Search Site, they have a category called All, and if you click on that, then you see a mixture of all of the latest stuff that Mac Rumors has to say and wants you to understand. So, as you can see again, we have last updated 2 hours ago. If you go up in the corner, this one it says 3 hours ago, etc. So when you're using any of these sites or going on the internet, please be aware of the fact that you got to keep track of how old the article is that you're reading. I use macworld.com, a source for all things Apple, and it's part of IDG Corporation, and I'll get into that in a little minute. They have good articles. Sometimes I'd say they're a little geeky, but not too bad. I get their daily newsletter, so every day I'm looking at Macworld, trying to figure out what's the best thing to put on the APCUG website. This is what Macworld homepage looks like, and as you can see, there's a subscribe to their newsletter up on the upper right-hand corner, and right underneath that you have this down arrow caret, and if you click on that, you get some more categories of different things that you can look at in Macworld. So don't forget to use that. Again, I keep on mentioning this, but yes, you know, we have 6 hours ago, this information was made available. If you go down at the bottom of the page of Macworld, you'll see where IDG Corporation handles quite a lot of stuff, including PC World, Tech Hive, and Greenbot. And if you're into smart homes and home security, you might want to get into Tech Hive. Android is Greenbot and PC World. And again, some of these magazines and some of this information is available to you. Thank you, Malware Bytes. Through Flipster, the app at your local library. I've signed up for Flipster at my local library. And believe it or not, we're getting near the end. I know there's a lot of view graphs in here. I'm not trying to cover everything in the world, but I'm trying to cover the ones that you will see I use and will end up on the APCUG website. Pure Infotech, fantastic. All right, they have daily or weekly emails, Windows 10, and when you click on their email, it takes you to the website. There's not much information on the email at all, just a couple links. And when you go to their website, they have fantastic information. Again, they use stuff to make sense that people like me who are not techno geeks. 9 to 5 Mac, iDevices, iPads, other devices. I like them. Occasionally I'll use something off of 9 to 5 Mac. I get their daily newsletter. They also have a weekly. ZDNet, one of the things I like about ZDNet is that they will come out and they will give you a news alert. ZDNet just learned something. They think it's important. They put it out as a news alert. So besides their daily newsletter, you can also get some news alerts, which helps keep you current as to what's happening in the world out there. Sometimes they're important. I also go with Tech Radar. They are, something's happening there, David. Okay. They are available to the UK also. And I take their weekly newsletter, US edition. I keep my eye on what Malware Bytes is talking about and get their monthly newsletter. But again, because I don't cover a whole bunch of information about cyber security, I don't use their information on the website, but I do keep my toe into Malware Bytes blog to see what's going on in the world out there and make myself aware of what I need to be aware of to keep myself safe. Another app that I find is very helpful, and this is very near the end of my presentation. I got about 4 minutes left. Is the Microsoft Store app called Microsoft Tips. And this display I have over here in this side of the view graph is what tips will look like if you turn it into a tile.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, you're working. Testing 1 2 3. Okay. So anyway, because I wanted this on my device, my laptop, I got a Microsoft Tips Launch It. It's already there, and it's available for PCs, mobile, etc. I like this app. I'm going to show you a little bit about it. When you open up the app, this is the kind of display you get. And it's strictly tips. And again, they are into different categories. They have a search up here in the corner. You can always search with, oh, excuse me. There you go. Sorry. Search tips is up here in the corner, so you can search for a specific tip that you want. And if you go to one of the categories, the one I picked was personalize your PC. I wanted to do that one. So I clicked on that, and I got this kind of screen. And as you can see, there's 12 tips, and this is the third one. There's 12 tips within personalize your PC. And so they give you the steps, hit start, hit setting, personalize, lock screen, etc. Now, if you're confused by that or that doesn't seem to make sense to you, then you can always click on this block right here. And when you click on this block, it's going to turn it into taking you to where you make the lock screen adjustment. It's going to do these steps for you. So that's very handy when you want to use the tips with Microsoft. It's available, it's free. So you might want to use that. I haven't put it on Joyce's machine, but I do have it on my laptop. The last category I want to talk about is a thing called TechNet. And TechNet is something I just recently discovered. They're great. They have a lot of different categories, a lot of different information. And as you can see, it's technet.microsoft.com. So I assume that it's tied directly to Microsoft. I've used the troubleshooting twice in the last month. And as you can see up here under the troubleshooting thingy, I went to troubleshooting. It used to be a plus. I clicked on it, it became a minus and gave me these different categories. I went to how to use TechNet to solve technical problems. That might be handy. And so when I did that and I clicked on that, this is the page that came up. Now this is interesting. What they're saying to you here is, if you got a problem, you can go to this page and you can either enter keywords, enter the knowledge base, the KB number, okay, to look up a certain article, or you can enter the ID or events error code that you got when you had this problem. And Microsoft is going to do their best to try to help you solve the concern you have with your PC at that time. And I'm finished. I'm asking for inputs. If you give me an input to go on to the APCUG website, I will give you full credit. Apple devices or Windows 10. And thank you very much. Example, if I send me an article, I'll say Joe and Alice Jones from Big Valley Computer Users Group in Podunk, Alaska. I made that up. And if there's a Big Valley computer users group someplace, I am not trying to slight you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I just don't know. I'm not getting any feedback, so I don't know if I'm talking or not. Okay, that's very good. Thank you, Jerry. I said we're coming up. I'll give everybody an opportunity. The only some question had was on that Win Central. Do you find that their opinions are non-biased?
Say that again.
Windows Win Central. And he wants to know, do you know if Windows Central's best reviews are generally unbiased?
Yes, I do know.
Okay.
They're generally unbiased except for Windows. Okay, or Microsoft. In other words, most of the Windows sites that I use are very much slanted to getting people involved in Microsoft, and that's their job. That's what they want. So that's where they're at.